How's it going, guys? I'm here with a review for Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom, the sequel to Jurassic World. And as you guys all know, I'm a pretty big fan of Jurassic Park, obviously. One of my favorite film franchises of all time. I could find even good things about Jurassic Park 3. I'm a fan of basically all the movies. Are they all perfect? No, they have flaws, but that's what makes them great, you know. There's a lot of upsides to the series. There's a lot of downsides to it as well. So obviously, after a successful opening weekend, we're obviously going to get a trilogy of Jurassic World movies, and probably even future trilogies. Perhaps we'll go beyond a trilogy. Maybe there'll be 4 or 5 movies in the series. I don't know, but I think this was a pretty successful sequel. I just couldn't help when watching it. I had to compare it to Jurassic Park 2 Lost World. It's a very similar plot, a little bit different, but the way how the movie even starts off in the mansion, it's like a direct comparison could be drawn to it. And we even get a few moments of Jeff Goldblum in there, which, you know, I thought from the trailer that I saw that he was going to be in it a lot more than what he was. But it was nice to kind of have him in there for continuity purposes. It's just a little bit odd when he was the leading man in the Lost World, and you have him here again for a movie that is very, very similar. But I think that this movie actually might be better than Lost World. Lost World was a very flawed film. It really fell below the standards of the first movie. I mean, if you go in and you watch Jurassic Park and then you watch Lost World, you're like, you wouldn't even believe that this was a Steven Spielberg film. I mean, even still, Steven Spielberg had admitted that the movie wasn't turning out the way that he liked it. And that could definitely tell. It's definitely a flawed film. A decent, good movie, but definitely this... I'll tell you right off the bat, Fallen Kingdom has a lot fewer flaws. A much interesting story that keeps throwing little curveballs at you. So there's a difference. In Lost World, you had Dr. Malcolm going to explore this lost world at the request of John Hammond. In this film, there is another direct connection to Hammond, but this is more a rescue effort. The Fallen Kingdom, which is the remains of the amusement park Jurassic World, which was shown in the first film, is about to be hit by a volcano, and all the dinosaurs that reside around the park, some still a few inside of it, are now at risk of extinction. And you know, we get into the beginning, the government doesn't want to get involved, so now Claire, Bryce Howard's character, is looking to save these dinosaurs. She started up a little organization, teamed up with some goofy kids, of course, and they're trying to help her, you know, save these dinosaurs. You have a paleo veterinarian character and another goofy computer nerd type of character. So you already know, you know, you've got your recognizable characters here, you know, that we've all seen 1,000 times before. You always have to have the goofball character in there, without a doubt. You know, just like you had Wayne Knight in the first film. You know, we haven't really had a goofy character in a while. It's nice, though, that Bryce Howard's character is developed, and she's less goofy than she was in the first movie. In the first movie, she was a bit more clueless, a bit more ditzy, you know, a little bit more awkward. You see that a little bit in this movie, but they've really tightened things up a bit more with her. Perhaps that's supposed to be what Owen, Chris Pratt's character, did to try to teach her, you know, survival instincts, and a bit, you know, with like combat and kind of, you know, taking care of yourself in like a situation like this. And so you could kind of see the development of her character. She's a lot more seasoned. She's a lot more serious in this role. And that might take away a little bit from, you know, her, like, personality-wise. But I think she does a fine job in the movie. And once again, Chris Pratt is a great leading man. So they start off this film, you know, with government doesn't want to get involved. So you've got Claire going to John Hammond's mansion. Now it's run by Lockwood, his former partner, and he's got this. Well, we find out a real slime ball behind the scenes, Mills, who Lockwood has entrusted the organization to, and he's going to see to it that these dinosaurs are kept safe. So they kind of work something out, and they're going to bring all these dinosaurs back, and they're going to try to save them from the island. And from this point on, it's almost like a repeat of Jurassic Park Lost World, but I feel like it's a lot better done here. I also feel like it's explained a lot better than it was in Lost World, where they kind of just launched you right back into the world of Jurassic Park again, just a different island. And, it was different. It was kind of like a dying request from John Hammond to Dr. Malcolm in Lost World, just go explore this island. Here there's like more of a sense of urgency. This is a rescue mission. So I kind of enjoyed that a bit more, but the way how it's like you could pretty much put Claire in the place of Dr. Malcolm, that he was playing in Lost World, here in this same scene in Fallen Kingdom. And they kind of basically end up doing the same thing. They end up on an island. Also, Mills ends up getting some mercenaries to accompany Owen and Claire. And this is basically, it's the same thing. There was mercenaries going along with the research team, with Vince Vaughn and all that in Lost World. So I couldn't help but feel. But then we find out that Mills has an ulterior motive. He's just looking to get these dinosaurs off the island behind Lockwood's back, just so he could bring them back, he could auction them off. And then we get introduced to a brand new dinosaur, the Endoraptor, which is a new prototype. And it's a little bit of a new dinosaur. So just like in Jurassic World, how you had the that really big T-Rex raptor hybrid. Now we've got just a huge raptor that just looks awesome. And the scenes that he's in, they're very, very reminiscent of the scenes with the raptors chasing the kids in the first movie. Brought back a lot of good memories and really well done. The chase scene at the end of the movie with the Endoraptor, I mean, that is excellent. And the critics said, if you go on Rotten Tomatoes and you look at the consensus, where they actually wrote on there that this movie lacks thrills. I didn't feel the same level of thrills in Jurassic World. Really, if I have to say, that movie wasn't as thrilling. There was some, blood pumping moments, when Owen is riding the motorcycle with the raptors following behind him. There's some good moments like that, but, this kind of brought back some of those horror thriller elements that we were introduced in the first film that made us fall in love with the series in the first place. So it was nice to see that kind of return here in this movie, and that got me really excited for. I was like, and the other thing about this movie is I really honed in on it. There weren't really a lot of parts that I was bored. It was very entertaining. When there was time for the comedy, they kind of just added a bit of levity to the situation. They factored that in real well. I was very happy with the pacing of this film, and it does a very good job of explaining itself. There's also another interesting little character that they throw in here, and that's the girl Maisie, who is Lockwood's grandchild. But then we actually find out that it's not really his grandchild, but actually a clone of his daughter. And they don't really get into that this much, but basically I guess they really don't have to. She's just there. She's a clone. And there's this whole little mystery that Lockwood is in bed. He's dying just like Hammond was in Lost World, And I think it's really funny, those parallels. I mean, there's so many moments, and I guess that's kind of cool in a way. I kind of like that they're kind of almost retelling like Jurassic Park in a way. I just hope that they kind of, they're obviously it's not going to be like 3, because we'll talk about that in a minute, the way this movie concludes, and why I'm really excited to see Jurassic World 3. I mean, I think that's going to be an excellent movie for a variety of reasons, with one main reason in particular. So we see that Maisie is a clone, and, you know, I guess it really doesn't come out of nowhere. We know there's a mystery going on. He's always clutching a book, Lockwood, with a photo sticking out of it. And Maisie really wants to see kind of like what's inside of the book and everything, and, you know, she finally gets a hold of the photo after Mills ends up murdering Lockwood. Once he gets wind of what he's doing and that he wants to auction off all these dinosaurs, you know, he wants Mills to turn himself into the police, and obviously he's not going to do that, so he ends up killing Lockwood with a pillow, and Maisie ends up finding the photo, and she finds out that, you know, there's a girl that looks exactly like her. It's supposed to be the photo of her mother, but it's her, and you know, it turns out that she never had her, that she never had a mother. She is her mother, as weird as that sounds, but it was kind of interesting, and it kind of explains why Lockwood and Hammond had a falling out, because Hammond I think he explains in the first film that he's against human cloning. You know, he's for cloning dinosaurs. You know, fuck the dinosaurs, but you know, don't clone humans, I guess. You know, I guess there's a set of standards right there. And it's really interesting that they talk a little bit about how Hammond kind of really fucked things up. I mean, he's the one who kind of started all this chaos. He's the one that kind of had all these dinosaurs created and caused all the chaos and craziness and, you know, all the unrest in the world. So they kind of explore those possibilities, like, was Hammond really that much of a good guy, or is he kind of really, you know, bad? And Mills kind of brings that up in a way to Lockwood. You know, we're just kind of carrying on what Hammond wanted in the end. Of course, you know, this is more vicious. Hammond, of course, never wanted to sell off these dinosaurs like slaves and everything. And, you know, it's an interesting plot. And it's actually never been done before, that they captured all these dinosaurs. They captured the T-Rex in Lost World. So there you go. There's another parallel. But the T-Rex doesn't really do that much in this movie. We see him in the beginning in a kind of comedic way to open up the film, which I kind of enjoyed. And it's similar to that type of campy way that they did introduce Lost World again. Wow, this movie is pretty similar, I have to say, in a lot of ways. The more and more I talk about it, the more and more I can't believe how similar it is in a lot of ways. And I guess they really drew inspiration. I mean, inspiration, I mean, it really is. It's the same franchise. So you've got the T-Rex. Then there's another part when they're trying to save Blue, which is Owen's, you know, raptor that he trained since its creation. I was gonna say since birth, but I guess, you know, these dinosaurs are not really born, but they have to draw blood so they can transfuse it into Blue, and they take it from the T-Rex, and that's a really good scene. I like the you know, the kind of humor that they kind of put into that scene, you know, where they're trying to draw blood, and Claire has to get on top of the T-Rex, and he's kind of confined in this crate, and you just kind of get to see his head and everything, and he's tranquilized, he's asleep, and then the eye opens, and, you know, they made a lot of really good, memorable scenes in this movie that I really can't wait to go back and watch them again, because there are definitely a lot more moments in this film that I think the critics are missing out on totally. I mean, the fact that they kind of gave more praise to the first movie, I think this movie's far superior to Jurassic World. They really threw in a lot of stuff that really reminded me of why the first movie is one of my favorites of all time, because it had so many great scenes like this. And there are moments where there's like throwbacks and everything, and you know, but that was a nice little creative scene with him in the crate. The T-Rex is in the crate in the ship in Lost World, but here they kind of do a little different thing. But there's no T-Rex stomping around the city like in Lost World, but turns out we're probably going to get to see that in the third movie. And the scenes with the Endoraptor are just great. When he's chasing them around the mansion, I just think that that's really cool. So, you know, you really get like two set pieces here. When they're on the island near Jurassic World and Lockwood's mansion. And he's got all these displays of all the dinosaurs and stuff. And so, you know, when the Endoraptor is just chasing him around, he also breaks out of his cage when they're doing the auction in the basement. And that just, at this part of the movie, I mean, I think this is a really good finale. And then we get to see Blue versus the Endoraptor. And it just is a really nice conclusion. And then at the end, we find out that, you know, we're going to obviously be getting a sequel with a nice little lead-in, a nice little cliffhanger. You have Claire struggling with the decision. Should she let the dinosaurs free from their cages and let them out of the mansion basement and be able to re-enter the wild? And there's these toxic fumes coming in. They're about to, you know, keel over at any minute. And then it's actually Maisie who releases all of them, pushes the button, and everybody, all of them just end up going free. So we're going to get a nice little Godzilla X type of movie here. Similar to what we got to see in Lost World, but on a much wider scale. So I'm really looking forward to what they could do in this movie. There's so many different possibilities. They could have done a lot more in Lost World when they enter in the city with the T-Rex, and those movies remind me of Godzilla so much, and that's why I do end up liking Lost World, because I believe the second act is way better than the first one, and they could really have a good movie here, you know, with the dinosaurs just kind of being in society now, in modern society, and there's a lot of possibilities. And I need to ask them, if they're going to make this a trilogy, please do this one justice. Don't mess it up. You know, make it fun, make it entertaining, because they did a wonderful job with this film. I really enjoyed it quite a bit. You know, they had a nice little twist there, even though you could kind of tell that somewhere down the line there has to be an antagonist. So, of course, Mills is the one who steps up to the plate, and we have that swerve that he's trying to just auction them off. So, you know, overall, I really enjoyed this movie a lot. I think it's superior to the first one. Where would I rank it? It's certainly not better than the original, but I think it actually probably is better than Lost World. It's better than the third movie. I probably would say, at this moment in time, what I'm thinking, it might very well be I have to watch it again, but it might be my second favorite Jurassic Park movie. I really enjoyed it quite a bit. And I do like Lost World a lot, and I do actually really like parts of 3, and I did really enjoy Jurassic World. But this movie really felt like a nice, cohesive part of the Jurassic Park universe. They had a lot of fun moments. The stuff with the Endoraptor brought back great memories. What did I feel about the whole announcement with Maisie and everything, that she's a clone and everything? It didn't really go anywhere for me with that part. You know, it's like a kind of like a surprise and everything, who she is. But I didn't really feel like, wow, if I ever really had to say, like, did something fall flat in this movie, it was kind of that in a way. I was like, yeah, okay, so she's a clone. I don't really care about this character, you know, she's just like a kid, she's just kind of scared, she likes the dinosaurs and all that, and I guess it's because her mom liked the dinosaurs as well and everything, and it's like, you know, it's supposed to be shocking and everything, and I'm like, oh, wow, that's interesting, but I didn't really care all that much. You know, I've noticed that they've really, since the first Jurassic Park movie, where they struck gold, where you had two good kids, two good child actors that made that movie fun, and even like when I was a kid, you know, could empathize with those kids and everything, and even as an adult, you know, really enjoy the performance of those child actors that were getting chased by the raptors and everything, that scene with the kitchen, and they never, for some reason, they never annoyed me. You know, I always felt like they deserved to be there. They added a lot to the movie. But then you kind of saw in Lost World, you had Dr. Malcolm's daughter. They tried to make her like really cool and sassy, and it just didn't work. They're going to look for a kid in the third movie. You know, he's just kind of there. In Jurassic World, you know, you just had this smart-ass kid and, you know, just a moody teenage brother. And they've really tried, you know, to really have these kids just kind of try to reclaim that same level of, you know, worth that the first two sets, the first set of kids actually had in the first movie, and they failed every time. But probably if I had to just all do it by process of elimination, I have to say that Maisie is probably the least annoying of all the kids that they've had since Lost World. So right there off the bat, Dr. Malcolm's daughter was a really annoying character. When she did that gymnast thing to the raptor in that movie, I just kind of had to throw my hands up at that. And that was some of the stuff that really kept me from really enjoying that movie to the best of my ability. But gotta say, you know, Maisie wasn't that bad. She lent a little something to the movie, you know, but really not much. You know, she's there, but she kind of just didn't need to be there up until the end, basically. You know, it kind of explains why Hammond and Lockwood kind of had a falling out, but it kind of doesn't really even matter because Hammond's not in the movie because he's dead, and he's been dead for 20 years. So it didn't really matter, like, her being there. She's kind of just there just so she could hit the switch at the end of the movie. So, you know, I understand why there's kids seeing this movie, even though it's PG-13. We got to have kid actors and everything like that. So Maisie wasn't that bad, but she's not really a necessary character. And, you know, when they do make the announcement, it kind of does fall flat. She's a clone and moving on, you know, so... Anyway, guys, I definitely recommend this movie. If you're a fan of Jurassic Park, I probably don't even need to tell you this, but, you know, if you were kind of soured a bit on the first movie, I could kind of see why, maybe. There were some differences from what we were used to in the original trilogy. But I gotta say that Fallen Kingdom really brings me back to what I really loved about the first film in the franchise. You've got a lot of thrills, you've got the right amount of comedy, and you've got some pretty solid characters and villains for the most part. And it's going to be really hard. I think we obviously all know that even after the third film, we're probably never going to get a superior Jurassic Park movie to the first film. I think that would kind of be impossible because of so many elements of it, you know, being in the right place at the right time, Spielberg at the helm, and you just had all the right actors in the right place. But, you know, I gotta say, I just really... why do they not get, what's his name, from the first film is beyond me. Like, they got him in the third movie, but they just somehow can't get him in Jurassic World, and they couldn't even get him in the second movie. Like, we've got Dr. Malcolm. I would have liked to see a little bit more of him, but for some reason they just can't seem to get him in there. He's just, they really don't seem to really want that original actor in there. And his name escapes me. I'm looking at, oh, Sam Neill. There we go. Just looking up on my phone right now. As much as I love the movie, I always forget his name. Why is Sam Neill not in any of these movies? I don't get it. Why is Dr. Grant not in any of these movies? Sam Neill, I don't know. He's not around. He's not in any of these movies. They never once were curious enough to, you know, see maybe a return of Dr. Grant maybe work in any of these movies. I mean, without a doubt, he was such a great character in the first movie. He was so likable and everything. And just to, you know, just kind of abandon him in this film, You know, and in the previous film, I mean, you know, you've got the idea of getting Malcolm back in there, but you just don't want Dr. Grant. I don't know. I'm confused about that. I don't know, but I really would like to see him return. Can they please make... it doesn't ruin the movie for me. I'm perfectly happy with Chris Pratt and Bryce Howard and everything like that. But, you know, just maybe seek out advice from him. Could we maybe get a scene of Dr. Grant and everything? I mean, you know, they did get the hint in the second movie. You know, when they did the third movie, they got Dr. Grant back. It was kind of like, you know, fans were saying, well, where's Dr. Grant? He's not there, so... They brought him back in the third movie. Why don't they do it again? You know, we've now went quite a few films. We've went quite a few years without seeing Dr. Grant. I think a return, if they're going to try to finish and cap off this series with Jurassic World 3, I say you give us Sam Neill back. Put him in the movie. Because, I mean, such a major character, such a beloved character, and probably the most popular in the series. I don't think Dr. Malcolm... you know, is the most popular character in the franchise. And certainly not Chris Pratt. So why don't you get Sam Neill back in there? I think that would be an awesome team up. Seeing Chris Pratt and Sam Neill together. You know, kind of like... you know, they did it with Star Trek. You know, they had Picard and Kirk together, right? They got Shatner and Patrick Stewart together for the film. I don't see why not cap off the series with, you know, a great team up right there, a nice little dream team. But anyway, that's just my thoughts on it, guys. Anyway, thank you for watching. Check out some of my other videos and subscribe. Until next time, guys.